Well, international cycling now, and the first classic of the season, the 296-kilometre race from Milan down to the Mediterranean coast at San Remo. At that distance, it is the longest unpaced classic in the calendar, and because of the character of the terrain covered, it is not a race that suits the climber, although there are some nasty short climbs before the finish, the most demanding of which is the Poggio. That test is difficult, and quite often it provides a rider with sufficient advantage to take the race. For the closing stages, commentary is by Phil Liggett.
In warm spring sunshine, San Remo waits for the end of the first classic of the season. The news already filtering through that practically all of the men most likely to succeed here on the Via Roma are now climbing the Suppressor Hill and nearing the end of this 294 kilometres race, still in one large group of almost 200 riders. And here they are now on the Suppressor Hill, this long hairpinning climb now going on towards San Remo, and a huge pack. In this pack, Giuseppe Cerrone of Italy, the world champion, and a gap here, and there seems to have been an accident down there, and it looks to me indeed as though the motorcycle television cameraman has been involved here in a crash in the centre of the main field. Now this, of course, is always the danger of televising this very difficult sport from cameras and helicopters, and here's the reality of that danger. The whole field stopped, and two of the riders down there look to me as though they're national champions, Frank Host of Belgium and Pierino Gavazzi of Italy. Well, this now has helped these riders on the long descent because they know little of the confusion behind. And the group now doing something like 50 miles an hour, and the splinter has been formed because of that crash. It looks as though we have something like 14 men now leading the race down the Suppressor Hill, and Cerrone surely is in the front of this group because he was in the lead when the accident occurred. That's Nullens of Belgium, and there's Cerrone. So the world champion has avoided the crash. This is Guido Bontempi, another Italian, and these seem to be the lucky men who are now going to take on the Milan-San Remo opening classic. Cerrone at the front, Bontempi in second place. And remember that Cerrone won the last classic of the year here in Italy, the Tour of Lombardy, last October. Francesco Moser, the great rival of Cerrone, 31 years of age now, possibly the oldest man in this race today, and never gives up. 3 times winner of the race Paris-Roubaix, and each time we've seen him win it on World of Sport. Wearing 103 then, Francesco Moser, and I can see Sean Kelly also in this group for Ireland, and Kelly too has never won a classic, and that's something he wants to do. An attack coming now, and it looks to me as though that's Juan Fernandez of Spain that's trying his hand, and really, one has to say it, I would suggest he's the most unlikely rider to succeed from this break, and that may well be why on this last climb of the Poggio he has tried to make the escape. So Fernandez going clear now, rocking and rolling here. This is his last chance. All he had to his name last year was a win in the Tour of Spain, but a very good 7th place in the World Championship at Goodwood. The pack seem to be hesitating here, but Fernandez comes round. £250 for crossing the top of the Poggio Hill in first place, and the pack are coming back, so they're not going to let him go. Rennie Beatonjay leading, Guy Nullens in second place, Moser third, Jan Roos fourth, Sean Kelly there in 5th place in line, and just behind Kelly was Cerrone of Italy. What a sprint this will be on the Via Roma if these riders can pick up Juan Fernandez of Spain. So Fernandez now, he's looking as though he may well be beaten. He really is beginning to suffer now. The top of the Poggio Hill not coming quick enough. Rennie Beatonjay takes up the chase and indeed passes him. So this is a young rider who's never ridden so well in the early season. He finished 3rd in the Paris-Nice race, won of course by Sean Kelly, and he is a teammate of Kelly. And I would suggest now that Kelly, I would think, is relying on Beatonjay to draw out the sting of the sprinters Jan Roos, Guido Bontempi and Giuseppe Cerrone. It's hard to imagine that Beatonjay will win this race, but he's doing a first-class job, as he's done indeed all day for Sean Kelly. Kelly really wants to win a classic. He's done everything else. Points winner in the Tour de France, twice winner of Paris-Nice. And look at the bunch now. Somebody's come clear of the bunch. It's gone straight by Beatonjay, and this attack comes as we're about to, and it's Cerrone. Cerrone, what a tactic this is turning out to be. Cerrone has chosen not to wait for the sprint, but to take all the sprinters on and go down to the Via Roma on his own. Now this really will have caught them all off guard, because Cerrone is a man on his day to win the sprint, and he said, no, I'm going to win this classic on my own. because this is Italy and this is the Via Roma now. Cerrone coming home. Look at the fist shaken there from the Italian in the following car. The crowd are going absolutely berserk now. This is the classic Cerrone has always wanted. 3 times second. He's never won it as he comes up towards the line now. There's nobody behind him. Giuseppe Cerrone, the world champion, the winner of the last classic of the season in Lombardy last year, and now also in Italy. He's starting off the way he finished, a glance over his shoulder, a kiss to the crowd. Giuseppe Cerrone has won the Milan-San Remo, and just look at this gap, and all this has happened in the last couple of kilometres of the race. There is simply no one down the road, and the reason being the riders have said Cerrone's got it. Now who's going to be second? They've simply stopped racing, they're finessing. Watch on the inside here, because a move comes on the inside, switching to the right. Looks like Bontempi of Italy, and the chase being taken up immediately there by De Jonckere of Belgium in that white jersey, switching across the road. What a day for Italy. The Italians cannot believe it. Look at the applause here. They've recognised Bontempi, a great young sprinter. And kicking now in the centre of the picture is Sean Kelly, trying to snatch second place on the far left. Eric van der Erden of Belgium through the middle, Jan Raas. Bontempi second, Jan Raas third, and I think van der Erden got 4th place. Well, there's a huge crowd on the Via Roma today. They came to watch one man win. He said throughout the winter that he wouldn't lose this race, he would win it, and here he is now, Giuseppe Cerrone. Beppe, a real playboy when he's off the bike, and this time on the bike, kisses all round. And a great victory indeed for Cerrone, and one I would think he'll put above all the other 87 races he's won since 1980.
And there is the world champion Giuseppe Cerrone's time, 7 hours, 7 minutes and 59 seconds, of both Guido Bontempi of Italy and Jan Raas of Holland in 2nd and 3rd place, given a time 44 seconds behind him. Well, after the break, we pay our first visit to Doncaster for racing on the flat, so join us in just a couple of minutes.